Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Rachel for those of you who are new. So for today's video, I'm going to be showing you guys a couple more of my favorite Weight Watcher recipes. I know in my previous video I did a what I eat in a day on Weight Watchers, and for those of you who are new, there are 3 different plans you can have on Weight Watchers, and I'm on the purple plan. So I did a full day of eating, and I'll link that at the end of this video. And I've also done another video on my favorite Weight Watcher snacks. So this is actually one of the snacks that I'm going to be filming today that I talked about in that video, but I didn't show it. So I'm going to be making 1 dessert and 2 dinner recipes that are like my go-to. I make them at least once a week. So I figured I would start with my favorite, which is dessert. And I'm going to be showing you guys how I make my banana chocolate chip Weight Watcher muffins. And the good thing about these muffins is that there's no granulated sugar in them. So they're pretty low in points. I make a batch of 12. So if you have 1 muffin, it's 3 points. So it's a great way to just like have a little dessert at the end of the day. Or if you wanna have a nice little muffin for breakfast, it's perfect. The only sugar that's in it is 1/4 cup of light brown sugar. And you can alter the recipe however you want. I've kind of switched things around with like the brown sugar, use either dark or milk chocolate chips. So you can alter the recipe on the actual app and it'll change the points automatically for you. So I think originally the recipe was like 5 points for 1 muffin, but I used some healthier options to make it down to 3 points per muffin, which is pretty nice. And they're super tasty because, again, I still use dark chocolate in them. So without further ado, let's get started. So this is all the ingredients that you need to make this. It's super simple. So you're gonna need some non-fat Greek yogurt. And again, you can switch it out if you wanna do like 2% or any type of yogurt pretty much, as long as it's like plain. So I use non-fat just because it's 0 Weight Watcher points. And then you're gonna need some rolled oats, some unsweetened almond milk, 1 egg, some vanilla extract, 2 bananas. Well, you could use 1. Technically the recipe only calls for 1 banana, but I always use 2 just because I love banana. I love the way it tastes in it. You need some salt, baking powder, baking soda, some all-purpose flour, and again you can switch that for any type of flour. Again, light brown sugar or regular brown sugar, whatever you prefer. And same thing with chocolate. I use dark chocolate. Sometimes I've used milk as well. And if you don't want to use chocolate chips, you can also substitute it for nuts or cranberries, anything that you think would go well with it. So that is all the ingredients you need. So to start with this recipe, we're gonna do all of the wet ingredients first, and then you put the dry in. And the nice thing about this recipe is that it doesn't call for a mixer. So you can just use a spoon the whole time to mix it. So to start with our wet ingredients, you're gonna use 1 cup of non-fat Greek yogurt, 1/2 cup of milk, 1/2 cup of oats, 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla extract, and 1 egg. And you're gonna let that sit for 5 minutes.
Spinning like a broken record. For a player, you don't know that many major chords. We hang out and then you get bored, and you leave me here like I'm your landlord. You come back and say I'm sorry, boo, and I know you never mean it, gets you in though.
Okay, so far I added in the oats, the milk, vanilla extract, yogurt, and 1 egg. So it should look pretty liquidy right now. So, wait, is that a word? No. whatever. It should look pretty runny. So right now, after this, I'm gonna let this sit for 5 minutes. And while I'm letting that sit, I'm going to mash up the 2 bananas that I have and then add that into the mix.
Nothing like wine.
So now the banana is mixed in with the rest of the wet ingredients. So now we just have to add in all of the dry ingredients, and it doesn't matter what order you put them in. Sorry, really loud truck there. But I will write down as I'm putting them in how much of each you're supposed to put.
Better things to do. Tell your friends I will be just fine. Don't need no therapist. There's nothing like wine. There's nothing like wine. Oh yeah. I don't need you here to feel good. No, I'm not angry. I got better things to do. Tell your friends I will.
Have everything in here. This is what the dough should look like. So it still looks very wet. And I added in the chocolate chips as well. It's hard to see them because I only add in 1/4 cup. But again, if you want to alter the recipe, you can always add in more chocolate chips. I just like to try and keep it to 1/4 cup just so it's lower in points. So now let's put these in the muffin pan and we'll get them cooking.
It's getting closer to midnight. I try to get closer to you. Drinking courage from my red cup now. I will soon make a move. Ooh, I can taste it. The bittersweetness of taking a shot. A risk worth taking. If it's a shot of love, baby, I adore you. Maybe I adore you. Yeah, I'm feeling high. I'm up on cloud 9. Baby, I adore you. I try to focus on breathing. My heart is skipping a beat. Your lips against a red cup makes me lose my mind completely. Ooh, I can taste it. The bittersweetness of taking a shot. A risk worth taking it. It's a shot of love.
What they look like out of the pan. I would take them out maybe 10 minutes after you cook them, just because you don't want them to get soggy just sitting in the muffin pan. So I would just say take them out, put them in a dish, and then you definitely need to refrigerate them because you use yogurt in it. But they're so yummy. They look so good, and they do puff down a little bit after you take them out of the oven, but that's the way they're supposed to look. Enjoy! Okay, so it is dinner time now, and I'm gonna be making one of my favorite 0-point dinners, and that's pretty hard to find, like completely 0-point dinner, but it was recommended under the Weight Watchers recipes, and then, you know, throughout the weeks I kind of just like customized it to what I had and made it my own, and it's very tasty for a 0-point dinner. So it's called like chickpea mash, egg, and harissa paste. I'll insert a picture of it here. Again, I don't use all of the ingredients, like I kind of changed it around based on what I have. So instead of like the harissa paste that it asks for, I just use some sriracha and it still tastes just as good. So the main things that you need for this recipe are bell peppers. I love yellow, but you can use any color that you want. You're gonna need some spinach, a good amount of it, so I have 2 because this one's almost empty. You're gonna need at least 1 can of chickpeas or garbanzo beans. They're pretty similar. I think they're almost identical, so either one, doesn't matter. You're gonna need at least half of a white onion, and I already have mine diced and ready to go. And then you can use a bunch of different spices. So I use a lot of the ones that they recommend. So just salt and pepper, some cinnamon, some cumin, garlic powder, and paprika, which is something I added in there. And again, you can mix it up based on whatever seasonings you have. But without further ado, let's get started. So the first thing I did was take out the peppers and wash them. I'm making 2 peppers, one for me and one for my boyfriend. So after I washed them, I cut them in half to make little boats for the chickpea mash to go in. And after I cut them in half, I'm putting the peppers face down in the oven on 400 degrees for about 15 minutes, just so they become soft. And while I'm doing that, my boyfriend is mashing up the chickpeas that we're going to put on the stovetop with spinach, the white onion, and all the spices.
Surrounding me, baby. I'm sure we lost track of time. I don't really care about love. I don't really care about happy ever afters. Something about you gives me hope. Something about you, yeah. When the sun goes down and the night sky's falling, do you believe in one-time lovers? 'Cause deep inside of my wildest dreams, you'll be by my side when the sun goes
So once the chickpea mash and the bell peppers are both cooked, I'll stuff the peppers with the chickpea mash and cook it for about 5 more minutes. The recipe calls for adding the egg and then cooking the egg in the bell pepper, but the main hassle with that is the egg never stays for me. As you can see, a couple of my peppers are a little diagonal, so the egg always falls. So now I just make it easier on myself and I cook the egg on the stovetop and then just add it at the end.
I don't really care about love. I don't really care about happy ever afters. Something about you gives me hope.